All right. Well, hi, hello. Welcome to Veeam Trailblazer Talk, Desired Outcomes Made Easy, Simplifying SaaS Data Protection with Veeam Data Cloud. That is a big title because we have a big topic today. Now, today's webinar is sponsored by Veeam and produced by Actual Tech Media. My name is Jess Steinbuck. I'm with Actual Tech Media, and I am so happy that I get to be your moderator for this important Trailblazer Talks today. I'm so excited. It is a bit complex. It is all around fascinating. There is so much to dig into. And these Trailblazer Talks are really exciting to be a part of because we get to take that deep dive into the forward thinking, the visionary side of new technology, that cutting edge solution, all those hot ideas that you've been hearing about, that you're wondering about, that you want to learn a little bit more about. And today we're going to be exploring backup as a service, focusing on software as a service workloads, and then zooming in even further to look at data protection in Microsoft 365. Now, together with the help of a top expert from the one and only Veeam team, we will be learning all about the Veeam Data Cloud and how you can streamline the process of protecting your M365 data. And not only that, but actually extend that protection to other workloads within the backup as a service model. Our awesome presenter is going to give you some tips, some of the best practices to make this whole complex and layered picture accessible and effortless. Who doesn't love that, right? That's what we're going for. Accessible and effortless, nice and easy. This is going to be such an interesting discussion. I can tell you our speaker is an absolute blast and has a lot of really exciting things planned for us, including a super cool demo, tons to get into. So I'm going to zip through our housekeeping and get our show on the road today. Still fighting a little bit of that spring bug, so sorry I'm losing my voice a bit. First off, I want to draw your attention over to the questions section of your webinar console, because the best part, the absolute best part of a discussion like this one is the chance to ask questions directly of an expert presenter. And our speaker here with us today has told me that he's totally fine taking questions as we go. So he's going to be watching your questions as they come in real time and interacting with the questions as we go through. And then we'll save some time for Q&A for anything that we haven't gotten to then. So whatever you have rolling around in your head right now, if you have questions, if you have comments, things you want to share, ideas, things you want to discuss, please make sure that you get that into the questions tab today. In fact, you can give it a little bit of a test run right now. And I see some highs and hellos. I see Zhang and Sean and Marteza and Gilbert. Hey, Gilbert and Greg. We've got a whole awesome crew here with us today. So keep those highs and hellos coming. Give a wave and a shout out to the rest of the Actual Tech Media community that's here with us today. And I do want to remind you all that, as most of you know, that questions window is also the best place to reach out to our team. So if you do have any technical issues today, the very first step you're going to take is a browser refresh. I promise you, a browser refresh is going to get rid of most of the usual problems that come up in the platform. But let's say the tech gremlins have got a really good hold on you today and the browser refresh is not working. No problem. You're going to post in that questions window. Let us know what's going on and we will do our best to help you out. All right, so we're going to keep moving on this little guided tour here. We were in the questions window. We're going to move one over to the handouts tab. Make sure you check out the handouts tab. There's some great resources and follow-ups to our conversation today. Spend some time exploring the Veeam website. There are some great follow-ups, great takeaways. We are going to get a ton of information today, but there's so much more to learn about. You can book demos. You can read some more blog posts and white papers and data sheets and all kinds of cool things, all there for you in that Veeam website. So make sure you spend some time exploring. Open the tab now and save it for later, because you're going to want that after we wrap, but we've got lots more coming right here in the next little bit, so stay with us for now. Speaking of which, we also have a $250 Amazon gift prize we'll be giving away as a drawing at the end of our webinar. You do need to be here live and present at the webinar in order to win that prize, and all winners must meet the Actual Tech Media prize terms and conditions. If you're not sure what those T's and C's are, no problem. We have them linked for you, the full thing in that handouts tab we were just checking about. So click into the handouts tab, scroll down, and you will find the full T's and C's waiting for you there. All right, well, as another cool prize giveaway for you today and an extra incentive to get those questions in. Now, I know that you guys don't really need any extra incentive because I see some great question askers out there just ready to rock here. But we also have a $50 Amazon gift card that we will be giving away to the best question asked. Now, we are going to review all the questions asked after we wrap. So get those questions in. And even if we don't get to you live today, you are still entered to win that $50 Amazon gift card. All right, well, that is it for all the housekeeping. We covered a lot very quickly because it is time to get rolling and get started on our day. I am so excited to introduce you all to our speaker today. I know we are going to have a great time because today we will be hearing from Rick Vanover, Senior Director of Product Strategy at Veeam. I'm going to get Rick on out here with me. Rick, thank you so much for being here with us on the webinar today. I can't wait to get into this conversation, so I'm going to step back. I'm going to hand things on over to you.
Yeah, thank you, Jess. And she's going to help out with the questions. She asked me before we started, like, well, what do you want me to do? I'm like, there's going to be questions. So we're going to need some help. And so thank you, Jess. Big welcome, everyone. And yeah, I am the Rickatron. I love the nickname, got my own font and everything. And we're going to talk about desired outcomes made easy and how simplification of backup as a service for software as a service with Veeam Data Cloud is the way. And so a lot of you have heard of Veeam, maybe for backup. I know we've done a number of events here on the platform over the years, and it's great to be back. I know the founders of the group here. So long road, small world, happy to be here. And we are going to scope the conversation to Microsoft 365 data. And specifically, I want to start with some definitions of what I call backup as a service. There is no standard way to look at this, but here are some of the interesting attributes. The number one response is that backup service and server runs in the cloud, or from the cloud, I should say. And then right below, it's delivered by the actual software provider through a service. And these are kind of attributes, I think, that are really attractive here today. When you think about something like Microsoft 365, which organizations consume as a service, the backup side of it, we're at a really interesting point. There's a lot of additional ways to consume it. And I'm going to highlight that there are really three ways to consume it with Veeam, the backup of Microsoft 365 data, but going to talk about the new one, this Veeam Data Cloud. And I've got a demo. We are sneaking in a demo, and I got a little trick in the demo for you. Hopefully you'll like it. And the other thing I want to highlight, aside from the top two on this list, look at the very bottom one, reduced use of on-site hardware. Now, that's a data point that actually really fits well with the top two, because if I'm backing up, if I have data in a software as a service, cloud type offering, putting it on premises is an option, but the market is telling me that people kind of don't want to do those types of things anymore. This is coming from the Veeam Cloud Protection Trends report from last year. And by the way, if you don't know who Veeam is, we're a leading provider of backup software. But one of the things we do is we produce the Data Protection Trends report, the Cloud Trends report, the Ransomware Trends report. We have this very specialized cut of market research that we do, similar to what analysts do, but it's really scoped into data protection, backup, cloud, ransomware, those types of things. A lot of times the analysts go into like revenue and decision makers and stuff like that. I'm not knocking it. I'm just saying it's different. So there we go. I might get in trouble later, but that's okay. So there are 8 reasons I want to highlight that Microsoft 365 data really benefits from backup as a service. And the first off is just simplifying the data protection. Now, if those of you are following in, history, in fact, one individual who checked in on the chat here, you are always here, and I love that. I think it's Gilbert. You are a regular, Gilbert. I remember you. Veeam got into the Microsoft 365 protection in 2016, probably nice and early, good time. But when we did that, it was complex and it was rather limited, right? So we have some good runtime to deal with. But you fast forward to the summer of last year, Microsoft announced that they're going to have their own backup service for Microsoft 365. Now, Veeam was, interestingly enough, a partner in that because they're creating new APIs for advanced transfer of data in Microsoft 365, which is really attractive because that was one of the things about getting it going. It was always a little bit complicated. Now we can entertain highly simplified solutions. Number two, quick and easy setup. A lot of people still aren't protecting Microsoft 365 data, but they should. For one, Microsoft is now making it pretty clear that a backup's a good idea, but also if you've ever been in like an e-discovery situation without a tool, that's not a good place to be. And then secondly, especially from a compliance standpoint, you have the ability to have full control of that data inside of Microsoft 365. You also can save time and money. And this is specifically comparing backup as a service to like provisioning your own backup infrastructure on premises. The logic here is one of the things I've learned about going into the backup as a service world is that the architects and the Shrees site reliability engineers for this offering who are provisioning it are experts in like the sizing and the cloud economics of it. In fact, little tip, they design it for complete maximum utilization from a processor standpoint, because otherwise it's, if it was only 5% utilized, that's 95% waste, right? So those are skills that we usually don't have on premises in normal IT shops, right? We don't have advanced cloud sizing skills, right? So there's time and money you can save. And it's a complete offering. It's an all-inclusive service. It's unlimited storage. I don't have to worry about running out or capacity or the cloud costs. And all of those things are included, which is really attractive. Unlimited storage. And, you know, if anybody is like a mathematician, you know, they'll say there is no such thing as unlimited. Okay, I understand. But the reality is we're talking in terms of the cloud backup storage. We don't have to get into a situation like, oh, you're over the capacity, you know, you're going to need more money. That's not how it's going to roll in what we're doing here with Veeam. And then from a maintenance and security, this is really attractive. How would you like to not have yet another change order for an upgrade? This is all taken care of for you, meaning as you use this service, it will be updated, upgraded, maintained, secured, and it's not work on you. That sounds great. And then there's also the governance and the compliance of it. A lot of times organizations, especially when like file server data just really pivots to the masses being on OneDrive, a lot more questions come in, right? Same thing with SharePoint sites as well as email, always been that way, but there's definitely a compliance story. And then the last one is really direct integration with Microsoft 365. Like I said, we went into the protection space there in 2016, and we've been protecting Active Directory for several more years before that. So we have very good market traction in this space. So a lot of differentiators, a lot of market trends that really make that attractive. And when I talk to organizations about their Microsoft 365 journey, there's really three modes of consumption. And what I mean by that is, you know, a lot of people know Veeam for like data center virtual machine backups. Great story there. Not the topic for today. A lot of people know Veeam for AWS, Azure, Google Cloud protection. Great story there. Not the platform discussion today. A lot of people know Veeam for Kubernetes backup. Did you know that? That's true. We can do that too. In fact, just an hour ago, we wrapped up a live stream from Paris with KubeCon recap from the Europe event. My colleagues were on the roof or the middle level of the Eiffel Tower. That was pretty cool. It was there were thousands of people tuned in. I had to like behave and everything. It was great. But this is an area, Microsoft 365, that's just another part of our offering, the portfolio of Veeam. And we do believe we're the most deployed Microsoft 365 backup solution in the world. And there are three distinct ways that you can consume that. The first is what I'll call backup software. So that is, here's your license, here's your download. Give us a call if you have any challenges, right? How many times do you have softwares and solutions like that? That is how Veeam came to market in this offering. Very successful, make no mistake. Over on the far right, managed services. Those are service providers, MSPs, RMM providers that are backing up Microsoft 365 data on behalf of an organization. a managed service is a way to consume it. In fact, a significant part of our business comes from that as well. These are available all over the world, these types of providers, and they're usually used in conjunction with additional value add. Spoke to one organization in the energy space that uses a service provider to like ship, racks of storage and servers to do the backup. And they do direct leases of their production data, just a full-blown managed service. Those are options as well. The new offering is in the middle, a backup service. And so that's what we're going to refer to as Veeam Data Cloud. And that is first party, so Veeam providing the backups of that Microsoft 365 data in a secure environment with still full control over that data and the backups and the recoveries. And the infrastructure with that is provided by Veeam, and I'll break that out here in a visual just next. But the thought here is that it is a very easy way to onboard, and that's really good timing on your question, Luis. How complicated is the deployment for Microsoft 365? I like to say that Veeam is too hard to use, said no one ever. In fact, go try to find me a job title on LinkedIn called Veeam, and we're the most deployed backup solution in the world. So that's really interesting. Okay, a lot of the other ones are out there as job titles and all that. But a little bit cheeky on the answer there, Luis, but it's generally very easy to use. I'm the captain of ClickOps. Nothing in Veeam is more than 7 clicks of a wizard. And so the thought here, Luis, is that Veeam has always been very easy to consume, configure, and set up. Microsoft 365 protection is probably one of the more difficult ones just because of I don't always have the expertise of, privileged accounts, modern app authentication, and some of these other things that have gone with that data over the years. But that being said, the new backup service offering, Veeam Data Cloud, no joke, you can sign up and enroll very easily. And for what I call routine deployments, which there's a certain number of users that just log in and go, and you'll be backed up tomorrow. It's really, really easy. So let's take a look at the 3 ways. So if I were to kind of identify the consumption, this is the first way we went into market, backup software. So download and deploy. Here's your license. Here's your install. Call me if you have an issue. The customer, so the IT admin, the backup admin, would have to provision the architecture, the network, storage, infrastructure, the backup storage, perform updates and maintenance. And this product takes 1 or 2 major updates a year and occasional hotfix updates per year. So that could be 3 to 6 maintenance windows a year, just to give you kind of an expectation. They have to set up the job and monitor that they're running. They have to do the restores and maintain the SLA. So Justin's question here, can we scale? Absolutely. In fact, you have more control you have explicit control on all of these options. This model here, for Justin's question, that's a very good question, Justin. This model here, the customer would have to engage in the scaling, meaning, oh, my backup took twice as long, I need more proxies, those types of things. That's a good question. Especially if you could also short-term hiring, seasonal highs, or massive onboarding, acquiring a company, those types of things could cause a burst like that for sure. And then this middle stack here, backup service, that is Veeam Data Cloud, where the backup architecture, the infrastructure, the design, the security of that infrastructure, the networking, the connectivity, the backup storage, and the maintenance, that's all provisioned by Veeam through Veeam Data Cloud. And this is, for some of you are like, what is Veeam doing? What is this? I'm in my 14th year here at Veeam, and this is a new consumption model, and it's a totally additional team, and it's built on Veeam Backup from Microsoft 365. So the same offering on the top, it's built on that with this management layer, and I'm going to show it to you here in a second, where all these other things are taken care of. And probably the one that matters in the middle is that software updates and maintenance. It's, I'm just going to guess 6 times a year that you don't have to install Veeam updates, forgetting Windows Update, those types of things, which you already have to do. So I think it can be pretty attractive. And then the last mode of entry is if a managed service provider is in use. And so really they take care of all of that. So it's a lot more of a consultative offering, right? With full-blown everything done. It's basically call them if you need a recovery. And again, each of these are ways to market with Veeam. And, I have a lot of times people ask me which one's best. Okay. So when we've launched Veeam Data Cloud, I have a lot of questions for customers. They're like, well, I want to be able to do this. I want to be able to do that. And I want, to control this and that. And I'm honestly pointing them to the top mode because they really want all those knobs and dials. That's probably the best option. And then I talk to people that don't want to deal with anything at all. And then I point them to the bottom. They want a service provider to have everything taken care of them for the client. And then there's this kind of middle angle where I don't want to run the infrastructure, but I need a backup and I want to do my own recoveries. Okay, that's where that middle option fits in. So it's like a top pro of each of these consumption models. And so a lot of you are familiar with Veeam Data Platform, virtual machine backups, physical server backups, Kubernetes, Salesforce, the public cloud. That is part of the Veeam portfolio. And then in this, over on the right, the top one in very little text, Microsoft 365. That's one of the products of the Veeam Data Platform, as is Veeam Backup for Microsoft Azure on the far left. And, Veeam Backup and Replication, if you've heard of that, that sits here as part of the Veeam Data Platform. What we've launched on the 29th of this year was Veeam Data Cloud. And it's basically a portfolio peer of the Veeam Data Platform. And right now it's offered for Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Azure protection. There will be more that roll into this, but right now these are the two offerings. And I say platform peer, a portfolio peer, because it really depends on how you consume. It's very possible that an organization has virtual machine data, unstructured data, enterprise apps on premises like SQL databases, Oracle, virtual machines, and they'll use the data platform. And then for their software as a service and cloud workloads, they may consider the Veeam Data Cloud. What I like about this offering is that this is built on industry-leading technology. So it is built on Veeam Backup for Microsoft 365, and I believe it is the most deployed Microsoft 365 backup solution in the world. And it's modern, secure, and intuitive. Now I'm going to show you this because it was really kind of a shock to me. I mean, again, I've been at Veeam for a long time, and it was really bizarre to take an easy product and make it even easier, but we did it. We did it. And then everything's included. So you don't have to size, you don't have to do updates. I think that's really attractive to a lot of people. And I want to highlight Paul's question right here. Is it a tangent, but is Veeam going to mark or celebrate World Backup Day at the end of the month? You betcha. That's right. We're going to do a funky live stream. Funky. I don't know about funky. How about special? Special live stream over at Veeam on LinkedIn. Phil or Paul, love to see you there. I'm going to have two of our Veeam 100, our top influencer types, come on the show and share their almost scariest stories with backup. So yeah, bring on the funky. That's right. So it's one of those things that, Paul, we will. World Backup Day falls on Sunday, which is also a holiday this year, which is kind of a weird day to go big. So we're going to go with Thursday. But yeah, on LinkedIn, bring it on. All right, so let me take a little bit more of a kind of expanded view of some of that infrastructure. This is a Veeam Data Cloud view. So if I used Veeam Backup for Microsoft 365, for years and years prior, I would have a Veeam server and have some networking, some infrastructure, and have to do updates, patches, and secure the environment. That was responsibility on me. And then as the backup admin, so I really was a system admin, and then I became the backup admin. So this user controlled on the right, I still would create backup jobs, recovery, and discovery tasks. Now, what Veeam Data Cloud is taking that first left side of it, the core components, operation, and automation, those are the not fun parts, right? We're taking that off your plate, and that becomes really attractive. If you're like me, when I was an IT admin, there was no time to do everything, much less make everything better, much less really go deep in some things. And so the thought here is by having a Veeam managed delivery, nobody knows Veeam backup for Microsoft 365 better than Veeam. So we're sorting all that out for you. So it's attractive in that regard. Quote at the top right from Ron, the easiest recovery software solution I ever used. Wow, that'll win you a gift card, but not on this show. But basically the thought here is that it truly did take an easy offering and make it even easier. This is a modern, secure, and intuitive approach. And to the one question we had down there, the first backup is within 10 minutes. I said tomorrow, meaning it would be done, right? It's an intuitive interface, and really you have full control over the regions, which is actually really important. If you're in Canada or if you're around the world or US, you have that type of control. MFA, encryption, all the things you need in today's kind of threat environment, sorted. So I love it. So I went a little crazy, and I promise you, friends, we didn't sort this out until maybe 8 minutes before we started. Yeah, living on the edge. That's right. I'm gonna roll a demo, and let me make sure this works. But basically, I want to do a quick demo of Veeam Data Cloud from Microsoft 365, and it is going. Okay, so what I'm looking at is the login for Veeam Data Cloud. And it logs in with your Microsoft identity. So if there is multi-factor, that's going to be in there. And if you are setting up, it needs this global admin privilege, right? So it does need that. And once you log in, you're looking at this great set of tiles of information. Let's start with the backup status. Tells me something didn't happen a couple weeks ago. That's okay. This is a test environment, but there's that much storage being used. I can also take a look at the retention, right? I'm targeting 7 years of retention, and I'm 2 years and 7 months into that journey. I also can take a look and see who are my nasty list, right? And Nandi is taking up the most by far of storage in these accounts. I also have some visibility on active licensed and unlicensed. I will say this is a test lab environment. So this number is wrong, but what you don't want to see is unprotected users. I have 0 of those, which is good. And I have 38 licenses that are active and 22 inactive. Again, this, once you know your organization, you'll have this type of visibility. The one that I like at the top here is really just seeing that all the users are protected. In this one right here, it's version 1.51. That number will change when you go, and you don't have to upgrade it. And if you've ever used the other offerings, you'll know that these 4 services are protected. And again, taking a look through, you can see that those 4 services are highlighted here. And then one of the other things I really like is that you have this nice view of all the restore activity. Who's touching my data? That's actually super important, right? So I see that some other users are in front of me in recent activities, and I can see in the notification bell area what they're doing and how it's going. And I love seeing that they're all green. It's all just working. That's what I want. So let's take a look at the backup jobs. So when I click in the backup jobs here, I have 3 different jobs, and they're all enabled, which is good. One of them's backing up Exchange, the other's backing up everything else. And maybe I can build my policies to my liking there. I can see the history of these backup jobs. Everything's going just fine. If I wanted to make a new job, give it a name, give it a description, and it's relatively straightforward. And by the way, tell me if you like me with my Zoom it here, because sometimes screens are giant. I work really hard to, now this is a video, but I can do it live, but talking and Zoom it and demoing at the same time, I love doing it. But I also like to say backup for show, restore for dough. So I'm going to destroy something and I want you to see it. So this is a taxi receipt that I had from November in Seattle. And I want to simulate that I'm in a deep audit situation with finance. I get in trouble all the time with them, okay? So let's delete a file. I get a warning. I'm in my OneDrive, just to clarify. Let's delete that file. And what happens is then I'm going to go look for it, and I make sure I deleted it, but I actually didn't. The way the button works, I actually need to click the delete, not cancel. They intentionally highlight it for you. So I'm just kind of walking through what users would go through. Where's my file? Is it there? It's still there. Now I'm going to delete it and actually say yes, delete. So that file's gone. Let's go in the recycle bin. You'll see it's in there. And if you know anything about Microsoft 365, you know that once you delete it out of the recycle bin, there's also, let's make sure I click that correctly. There we go. It's still in there. I got to click that, actually click, refresh it, make sure it's still in there. It is. Empty recycle bin over there, Rick. When I record, there it is. I got it. I do these really hot and quick, so it's clearly you can see empty, but there's still the second stage recycle bin. Have you ever used that? Well, that's not a backup, I can tell you that. Let's go ahead and empty that, the second stage recycle bin. I do have to hit yes. And they intuitively put the safer option as bold, right? It fooled me on that. But what I want to highlight is that that file is gone. That taxi file, if I click it now, it probably won't work, right? There is no file called taxi in my OneDrive from Seattle. Finance is on me. They audited my expense report. Let's find this file. So what I'm going to do, again, backup for show, restore for do. Let's go browse the OneDrive backups under management by Veeam Data Cloud. Now I know that this one's coming from my username, right? So let's go down to Rick Vanover. Should have called it Rickatron. And then you'll see I have a whole bunch of different files in here, or files in my OneDrive, over 10 pages, several files in here. What I'm going to do, I don't even remember the name. I can just search for part of it, all of it. I could just say taxi, and it should find that one file. And I did search and find it. And what I like here is that I can go ahead and restore this document to my OneDrive. And I'm given the same three options that I would get if I was doing Veeam Explorer for SharePoint or Veeam Explorer for OneDrive. I can put it in the original location. I can change the color of my little squares and download it or put it on the local computer. I tell you, I got some Zoom It skills. I really do. But anyways, I'm going to go ahead and restore to the original location. So what happens here is that this is an API call from Veeam Data Cloud. And I love this little message at the top here. Your restore has started. You will be notified when it's complete. We have started this restore, which actually is an API call to Veeam Backup for Microsoft 365. And when I look at the status here, these are the backups that have been done. This is all of the activity. And down here, I should see that Rick Vanover recent activity started. And that's great. And what I also like is that the little notification bell has a little indicator for me there. It's not YouTube. It's cooler than that. But basically, you can see that the OneDrive restore has succeeded, and that file should be back in business on my OneDrive. So let's go back over there, and then let's do a quick search. I'm going to search for taxiseattle.pdf, and it should find it right away, and it does. But let's open it up and see if I can get my data. And there it is. I think, yes, $82 PDF. I can meet the request from my finance team for the deep audit of my expense report. So this is just a quick look at what Veeam Data Cloud provides you. And, this is a super easy interface to use. So when I say that it is really easy to use, I truly mean it is easy to use. But I should also highlight that Veeam Data Cloud also works for Microsoft Azure. There will be other offerings in the mix. Right now it's Microsoft 365 and Microsoft Azure. I'm not allowed in public to say what's coming up next, but we'll have some news next week about something additionally coming. And we got Veeam On coming up. We're going to have new stuff there to talk about. And I think that when you think about this view, and by the way, if you had multiple services, you would see them all in there. So it's really attractive from that side. One thing I want to highlight also about, when you think about which way should I go? Azure, for example, same thing. If you've used Veeam Backup for Microsoft Azure, this is going to use the same offerings. It's going to protect the same thing. Azure SQL, Azure VMs, Azure Files, a couple more things that I'm forgetting. All of those things will be included in that offering. So it's really attractive from that regard. And, when I think about the decision, should I use a service provider? Should I use Veeam Data Cloud? Or should I use traditional software where I do it? Depends. It's always the answer. What is the best way? And I feel that a lot of people are, in a mode, IT shops are in a mode where I think that they want simplicity in their offerings. They want the security. That's a must-have. Okay, they need that. But they also want the simplicity, but they want that ease of use, the performance, and I'm really doubling down on reduced change control windows for the updates and stuff. That I think matters. All right, well, that is really all I have, and I want to take some questions, Jess, and so hopefully my one-liners didn't get me in trouble here today.
No, Rick, it's been very entertaining and informative as always. Thank you so much for that. And I do want to get into some audience questions with you, so let's get that rolling. I'm going to start with this one first because we do get a lot of questions that come in from different size organizations. And we get this question from two regards. One is just, does this make sense for me if I'm a smaller organization? But there's also a resource element with that. Should we be considering, and you've kind of hit about the simplicity quite a bit, but if you have limited resources for your team, and complicated options, is there something that would be maybe more work that would cause more work for a small team? And does it just make sense for a small team? So for those kind of two sides of it, could you address whether backup as a service for SaaS makes sense for small companies, for big companies, or it really doesn't matter, it's good for everyone?
Yeah, that's a great question. And I think what I want to highlight is there's this notion of routine deployments. Okay, I use that language. Routine deployments would be, and it generally depends, but let's just say if it's a few hundred users, some organizations are bigger than others, regardless of number of people. Like, oh yeah, we're in the video production business, Actual Tech Media. There might be big files in the mix, right? So that's different than, I'm an accountant. Well, I don't know, PDFs can get nasty. So I'm just trying to give you examples, right? It depends on the nature of the business with this type of data. But let's just say within a few hundred users, that falls into the routine deployments category, and literally could be onboarded within 24 hours, backed up as well. Larger environments, we do ask that you talk to one of our colleagues at Veeam to check out the sizing, and then also just kind of verify, is Veeam Data Cloud the right way? Maybe you want those knobs and dials, then probably point you to the traditional software deployment on premises and things like that, or a managed service provider. A lot of times the managed service provider is already doing everything else, might as well do that too, So we're flexible like that. Is, I think the answer I'm trying to say.
That's a good answer, and maybe that feeds into where I want to go next. I want to talk about we industry to industry, country to country, and the different compliance needs and customization needs that we see across that. So again, we've been hitting a lot with the simplicity, and you guys are flexible. Would there be anything that would come up between say if you have a remote distributed workforce across different countries, or if you're dealing with industry to industry different compliance needs?
Yes, that comes up all the time. I'll give you a couple examples. I don't know if it's going to resonate to the folks on the line here, but I talk a lot to some of the banks in the Caribbean, believe it or not, here. They cannot put their data in US, Mexico, or any of the British Virgin Islands. Okay, so that's interesting. Luckily, there's a Veeam service provider that specializes in sorting that out for them, that keeps it in the Caribbean, different island. And the Caribbean's interesting because of the risk of tornado or hurricanes and natural disaster, right? So there's like a criticality. Very different example. I remember talking to some organizations in Macau, SAR, a special administrative region of China, same thing, can't do cloud, right? So like there's service providers or traditional software that they look into. Something a little bit more specific, sometimes in Canada it has to stay in that province, or in the US, definitely stay in the US. Chances are Veeam can have any fit for any of those scenarios. And that's really important, those three different consumption models, whether it's a service provider, the software and a license, or Veeam Data Cloud. And I think the real takeaway is that it really kind of all starts at veeam.com and finding out what is the right way to go. But, Jess, that's an area that I feel matters from a compliance standpoint. It gets real specific real quick. I got stories to tell you, though. But short answer is there's probably nothing we can't do.
Okay. Well, interesting that you say you have stories to tell, because the next question that we got was if there was a case study that you could share with us, or maybe an interesting use case that you've seen.
We are early with the Veeam Data Cloud as an offering, and let me walk through that with a little bit of context. So you might have seen that quote I had from Ron, that great quote. Veeam Data Cloud was just born on the 29th of February, the leap day. Kind of only do special things every 4 years. But if for those of you on the audience, and a great crowd here today, by the way, they may have known Veeam, and if you're following news and socials and stuff, on the 4th of October, we made an acquisition to actually get us to this point. And so basically, we acquired a product from a service provider in Australia that was doing it really, really good, and productized this as Veeam Data Cloud. And then we rebranded it. We've internally scaled it, by the way. We scaled it out and up. We've also scaled our team, and we've trained our team and our partners and our sellers and all that other stuff. So I think we're really getting started there, but the Veeam touch is real. We have seen like some areas of like the website have let me say it more accurately, had over 900% increases in web traffic. Some areas had over 500% playing of online demos. The consumption, the Veeam touch is real. So they will come, but we've got that one quote for now, but give us a quarter.
We'll give you a minute. I mean, it's been a couple of weeks now. That's pretty exciting. Well, on that note, you said that there was some things that you're not allowed to say that are coming very soon, and so it sounds like we need to stay tuned. Is there anything on the roadmap for what's ahead that you can share with us?
Well, the big roadmap item is our Veeam On conference at veeamon.com, and we're going to have let's just say at least 6 very interesting things product-wise we're going to be bringing to the event. And, you can attend online at veeamon.com for free, right? So that's awesome. But if you want to make it to Fort Lauderdale, Rickatron 10 discount code. I will say, because we kind of sandbagged the news a little bit for Veeam On because we're so close to that. And I'm going to pick up Tony's questions on data center locations. It's global. It's a short story. All major. It follows the Azure location model. Tony, that's a short.
Tony's question was, where are your data center locations for your solution? And Rick's saying everywhere.
In Azure, it would be within the Azure regions. Yeah.
Gotcha. Rick, we're getting close to the end of time here, and clearly the end of what my voice is willing to do. But I'm wondering, at the start of our conversation today, you gave us sort of the key uniques and differentiators. And that's awesome, because we get asked that sort of thing a lot. I'm wondering if you could zoom in on or tell us what is the thing of those differentiators that you gave us that makes you most excited, you as an expert, as the Rickinator, the Rickatron?
Rickatron, yes.
Rickatron. What makes the Rickatron most excited about this awesome solution here?
It solves the 2 hardest questions that we get ahead of time. That's not my list of 8, right? So I'm changing the answer. Marketing made these up, which I said, those are good enough for marketing. But to your question, Jess, I'll say it solves the 2 hardest questions. How big do I need to make my backup storage? And how should I build it? Those are just gone, right? Because people come to us for backup and recovery. They don't come to us for, infrastructure considerations and like how much backup proxy I need. And those are important, but they're not interesting. What people want are the outcomes of compliance. And hey, I lost my PDF of my expense report, and if I don't get paid my $89 or $92 report, whatever, I'm on the hook. And then on top of that, finance will always be auditing me, right? That type of stuff solves a business problem. That's what people want from us. So taking away those sizing, design, where should I put it? How should I set it up? Taking all of that away, that is the thing that I think matters. And then on top of that, like, I can't emphasize it enough, those are change controls for updates and maintenance windows you would not have. I think that hits home, literally home. When I was on call, I couldn't drink those nights. That was a problem, so dang. Anyways.
Yep.
Now I'm never coming back on this show.
No, I think you're hitting people where they live. I think we all can relate to those 2 a.m. phone calls and the on-call nights. And hey, if we can eliminate some of that, if we can give people an evening back to themselves, that's the goal of this webinar, right, Rick?
Mm-hmm. Indeed.
We did get a question in. Is there going to be a hardened repository ISO release anytime soon? And would there be, which Linux version would it be based on?
Oh man, this person is in the know. Did you see my little jam on Reddit last night, Mr. L?
For deep cutting.
Yeah, this is soon. We did pull the hardened repo ISO, and for everyone else, this is a special version of the Veeam hardened repository that's over in Veeam Data Platform land. We got some plans there, L, that I'm not really ready to share right now because they're not final. But guess what? We're going to share them at VeeamON. So, and L, if you're familiar with that post on the Veeam Community Hub at community.veeam.com, I am going to update it post VeeamON. So, patience.
Well, if they weren't before, I'm sure they're checking it out now. And clearly VeeamON is also a good place to follow up on a lot of this information. I think we're going to have to leave it here pretty soon, Rick. And I'm so sorry to say that because I'm having so much fun with you. And you have been all over the world, though, today. You've been in Paris this morning, and now you're here with all of us. So we need to give you a chance to breathe and catch your breath as well. But before you leave us, Rick, for somebody out there that is really excited to learn more, VeeamON sounds like a great option and certainly a way to go. But, you know, reaching out to the website or booking a demo, reading an article, is there another action step that you could suggest to everyone in the audience today?
You know, it's that if anybody's looking at the screen, they're like, why is there a little cat on the screen? Okay. And it would be on the bottom, that community hub, the community.veeam.com. Our Veeam community, really would recommend people check that out. Now, here's why. Every week, myself and some of my colleagues, we make a news show. So if you want to know what's going on with Veeam, you watch the recap. I'm going to publish it later today. The weekly recap, episode 158, goes live at 5 o'clock local time, New York time. You know, if you want to be in the know, get on the community hub. So that's one we don't kind of advertise much, but it's super public. It all starts at veeam.com, but community.veeam.com is where you go to be in the know. I just made that up.
You are just on fire today, Rick. I love it. What a great conversation, Rick. Thank you so much for leading us through this. This is a really exciting new kind of cutting edge thing to be aware of. And I'm hoping that for a lot of the audience members out there that they really remember that this is just step one. This is just getting started because there's so much more to dig into. Visit the website. Go to VeeamON, hey, go to Florida if you can, or just go to all the virtual events, and definitely join that community and keep the conversation going. And hey, who doesn't want to have more conversations with Rick? So be sure that you reach out. Rick, thank you so much for being here with us today. It has been so much fun chatting with you.
Thank you.
All right. And to everyone out there that has a question, just burning a hole in their brain, if you still want to get it in, we will make sure that any questions asked today are sent over to Veeam. So make sure you get your questions in because you will get answers back. And I know we got through a lot of the questions today, but anything that's left unanswered, you will hear back from the Veeam team. So keep those questions coming in. And a big thank you to all of you who asked some great questions today. It's really fun, especially when we have an expert that's willing to kind of take things on the fly and take things as they go. Because, hey, that's a hard thing to do. And luckily we had a superstar with us here today who was able to do all of the above. So I think that was quite an enjoyable experience for all of us. And I'm so glad that you could be here and be a part of that. As a special reward for being a part of that today, I also have a $250 Amazon gift card that we will get to. Let's get that $250 gift card to someone who is live and present at the webinar today. And that special someone is Madeline Harlan of Kentucky. Madeline Harlan of Kentucky, congratulations to you. You have a $250 Amazon gift card. Now, as always, we will be in touch with you about claiming your prize after we wrap up our webinar, and stay tuned for that $50 best question gift card coming at you. We will review all the questions asked and follow up with you after we wrap. All right. Well, with that, on behalf of the Actual Tech Media team, I want to, of course, thank Veeam for making this webinar possible. What an exciting Trailblazer talk we got to be a part of today. And a giant thank you to Rick for guiding us through such an interesting conversation. As I said, my biggest high fives, my gold star goes to all of you out there for asking such interesting questions, for really engaging with the topic. You know, when we get to be a part of conversations like the Trailblazer Talks, it is such a great example of being aware, being in touch, and really digging into not just new technologies and new solutions and new opportunities, but understanding them collectively, exploring how they can impact all of us, and really being a part of that community of learning. And I hope that all of you will continue on with joining the community, the Veeam community, and being a part of that as well. And however else you carry forward with this information, whether it's clicking on the handouts tab and make sure you click on the Veeam link, get into the website and start exploring Now Together today, or attending VeeamON, or visiting another webinar with us again soon. However you move forward, I hope this is just the beginning for you. I hope that you've gotten a little brain tingle and a spark that then ignites and continues on from here. So thank you very much for taking the time to be a part of our conversation today. I'm looking forward to seeing you again soon. And until then, have an absolutely beautiful end to your day.